Hey viewers, and welcome to Get Well, Stay Well on Revelation TV. My name is Si, and as every week, absolutely delighted to be joined by Felicity. How you doing?
I'm really good, thank you, Si. It's great to be back in Spain. Loving it. Had a wonderful time in Jersey. I led a course there as well. Had some wonderful people from all over the place, from Belgium, from France, from Ireland, from England, all kinds of places. But it was great, and the blossom was all out. It was beautiful. And my grandchildren were making the carrot juice and also spilling it on the carpet, which was all good fun. So Granny was down on hands and knees scrubbing.
Good fun for them, not so good fun for you.
It's great anyway.
Excellent. I mean, that's what it's all about, is the children getting involved and juicing, and it's educating them at such a young age. That's fantastic.
It's great, isn't it? And the little one she's 8 months old now, and she's having a little bit of wheatgrass. So that's good news, isn't it?
The next generation.
The next generation, getting it right.
Excellent. What are we going to be talking about on today's show?
Well, we're going to start off with Phil Driscoll and the trumpet, because I think he's absolutely great. And I love this song, You Raise Me Up. And whenever I'm feeling low, I put on Phil Driscoll. And, you know, I put it on Facebook the other day, and people said, that is so great, and just what I needed at the time. So it's a good start.
Excellent.
And then we're going on to Dr. Veronique and all kinds of interesting things.
Wonderful. Well, let's start with today's first clip. This is with You Raise Me Up. Now, the reason we like to play some clips in our program is to just inspire you, to lift you up, and it's sometimes good to show a little bit of worship music at the same time as well. So let's take a look at this. This is You Raise Me Up.
When I am down and oh, my soul's so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on the mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. When I am on your shoulder, you raise me up to more than I can be. Yes.
Hi viewers and welcome back. This is Get Well Stay Well programme and we do talk about health. The reason we showed that clip is we just simply want to inspire you, and sometimes we just we listen to a little bit of music and it just uplifts us, and that also affects our health as well.
Absolutely, because when we have these inspiring thoughts, and I find Phil Driscoll absolutely great, you make good body chemistry. It's like when you're praying, when you're worshipping God, you get really good body chemistry going right through the body, affecting the blood, affecting the organs. So it is really important. And you know, I'm doing a special article this May, because my May newsletter is coming out. I'm just working on that. And it's coming out on the 1st of May, and it's about depression.
Wow.
And so I think that it was really great to have Phil Driscoll just introduce that for us.
Yeah.
So it's really important, and if people are not on the mailing list, put yourself on.
How can they
on the
do
website?
that, Felicity?
Well, they go on felicitycorbin-wheeler.org,
okay,
which links to the Hippocrates
now you
one.
just touched on depression. That's not what we're going to talk about today. I just wanted to briefly talk about something about depression. Now, depression can be something that some people might be suffering and they don't actually realise they're suffering from it as well.
Well, there are two different kinds. There's endogenous depression, which is just, there's endogenous and there's exogenous. So the exogenous one is from the outside sources. You know, bad things do happen in life, which just we can't avoid. And so there is a reason for being depressed. And we have to understand that, you know, we pass through these times and God is our support. And then there's a sort of sadness that's in the spirit that is not really of God, because God wants us to be happy. God wants us to have faith that we're going to heaven at the end of the day, and that He will sort things out for us in a better way than we ever imagined.
Yeah.
So there are the two types of depression. Unfortunately, when people go to their doctors, they get medicated with a lot of drugs, and sometimes the drugs have, well, most times the drugs have side effects.
Yeah.
And it's it's really difficult to climb out of that hole. So the thing is to go to your doctor, go to a naturopath, go to someone who does understand about nutrition. You know, I always say the niacin, the B3, is a wonderful way of getting over depression, which Professor Andrew Saul talks about, and he's a doctor who teaches the doctors about this. So he's used large doses of B3, the niacinamide, and I've seen amazing results with it.
And I think something as well is the importance there. We're on Christian TV, and the importance of having God in our lives at the same time as well, because when we have God in our lives, we can literally achieve anything, and we can overcome anything. And I just really love our viewers to just feel inspired today. Whatever problems you're going through in your lives, whether it be health problems or financial problems or anything, when you've got God, you can take on anything. There's no problem too big.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Now, Felicity, you've just recently got back from the US, where you attended a conference. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I was in San Diego with my friend Dr. Veronique Dessonnier, who is a lovely chiropractor who actually got breast cancer herself and cured herself naturally. Amazing story, a wonderful lady, a great friend, and I was delighted to be able to interview her, because this time, as you know, I took a film crew with me, and it was such fun interviewing these people, so I can introduce them to the viewers myself. Excellent.
So let's take a look at Felicity's interview with Veronique Dessonnier. How do you say that?
Dessonnier.
Dessonnier. All right, let's take a look at this.
I'm really delighted to welcome Dr. Veronique Dessonnier. We met last year at the Cure to Cancer conference, and we're here again at the Integrated Conference here in San Diego. So it's great to be with her again. She's a chiropractor. She healed her own breast cancer naturally many years ago, and she has written a book called Healing Breast Cancer Naturally. And it's wonderful to be with you again, Veronique. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Felicity. What an honor to be here with you. Thank you.
I know that your book is a bestseller, Healing Breast Cancer Naturally.
Yes, it is. Amazon #1 bestseller. I was quite thrilled to see that happen, actually.
That's really exciting. And you really are a breast cancer conqueror, as well as being a chiropractor. So do tell us your story, because it's so encouraging for people.
Well, by my profession is chiropractic. You know, I graduated from chiropractic college in '79, and I was ready to bring wellness to the world. But in 1983, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and that's what really opened up the door to this whole cancer journey that I've been on. I realized that even though the doctors gave up on him and sent him home to die, that there were things that could have been done for him, but unfortunately for him it was too late. So I started applying these principles in my practice, homeopathy, nutrition, the juicing, the cleansing, you know, and I was seeing amazing things happen with my patients, you know, MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, cancers, all these things being reversed, and I realized it's because they were applying the laws of nature and the laws of the universe. The body has an amazing capacity to heal. But then in 2004, I became the patient because I discovered that I had a lump in my breast and it was breast cancer, which was very shocking to me because I had lived well most of my life. I was eating organic before organic was in style. I exercised, I was under chiropractic care. But why, you know, would I develop breast cancer? So I went on a journey and really started doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of research, and realized that there were 7 basic steps that I eventually created into a system called the 7 Essential System. But with these 7 basic steps, if people apply these in their everyday life, they never have to fear cancer or any disease for that matter.
That's amazing, because fear plays such a great part in this, doesn't it?
It does, it does.
So what is the first step in your essential plan?
Essential number 1 is to let food be your medicine. And we know that Hippocrates, the founder of modern medicine, taught us, you know, 2,500 years ago that food should be a prescription for our health. So that's very, very basic. Essential number 2 is to reduce our toxic exposure. We live in a very toxic world, there's no denying that, but there are specific things that you can do to help minimize that. Essential number 3 is to balance your energy. We're energetic beings. We function on electricity. So what can we do to bring that energy to balance? Well, everything from chiropractic care to exercise to making sure our hormones are properly balanced.
Hi there, viewers, and welcome back. Just some of the points that I want to discuss in a little bit more detail, Felicity, is how can we conquer breast cancer naturally? Okay, let's just go through the points. Number 1 is the diet. Food is your medicine.
Absolutely. And dinner is a date with the doctor, as our friend Dr. Heyman says. It's absolutely true. And I got well, as you know, with really detoxing and getting onto the healthy foods. And, you know, our bodies need the living enzymes. So this is why cooked food is not really going to do it for us. We want to have 80% raw, 20% of cooked vegetarian food.
How do we make that transfer over there, Felicity? Because the majority of us have been used our whole lives on cooked food. How can we do such a radical change?
Well, you start by adding the good things. So you would add the wheatgrass, first of all. It's absolutely essential. The wheatgrass is the complete food, and you can make that into a juice. You can either grow it yourself, which is the most economical way of doing it, or you can buy it in a powdered form, or you can buy it in a tray form and juice it. But it is the most wonderful food, and that's what gives me the energy, keeps me going. And when I was so ill in 2003, the wheatgrass and the barley grass were absolutely fantastic. So that's your basic, and then you have the juices, as we're having now, the orange juice that I've just done with the beautiful fresh Spanish oranges.
Fantastic.
Then we go on to green juices, beetroot juices, pineapple juices, all the different colors. And of course, all the colors denote a special nutritional condition that it helps in the body. So we have, you know, the dark red, the resveratrol, and we have the bright orange with the carotene, and it's really the rainbow that God has given us in Genesis 1:29 and 30.
Now, something interesting is, just as important it is to add good nutrition into our diet, it's just as important to eliminate the wrong nutrition at the same time, and that's when we bring the MAD diet. We need to eliminate the meat and dairy.
We eliminate the meat and dairy, certainly, and the sugar. And the best way we can do that is to gradually move over onto the healthy options instead of the unhealthy ones, because there are some healthy sugars and fats and salts, but we just have to learn what they are, so it's a matter of education. And then we eliminate with the colonics. And it was interesting, in Jersey I had this lady who'd been very ill with cancer. She was trying to get rid of the toxicity of the chemotherapy in her body, and she's doing the colonics, and we also did one of those ionic foot baths for her. And I have one here in Spain, I have one in Jersey, and it was just amazing. In 1 hour, this water changed from absolutely clear to black with so much toxicity. And her feet, which had been very contaminated and damaged by the chemo, her feet started to return to the right color. So she was really, really excited to think there was a way she could get rid of this toxicity. And so she's going to buy one of these things on Amazon. I don't stock them, but I can point people in the right direction.
Just going on to the next points there, we need to reduce the toxic exposure as well, because that also is very important, isn't it?
Absolutely. So the best way to do it is the colonics, the ionic foot baths, and really just getting rid of the toxicity, which we collect all the time. So these little bands are really good as well, because we're all getting a load of electromagnetic radiation as well.
Radiation is something that is everywhere. You simply can't avoid it, no matter what you do, isn't it?
You can't avoid it. I mean, on the plane yesterday, there's everyone around me with their Wi-Fis. Yeah. We're in a confined space, and I'm just thanking God I've got my body band on.
Exactly.
But and also the stress of flying, you know. I do 2 flights because I come out of the island into England, then out of England into Spain. So there's lots of queuing, there's lots of security checks, and of course it's stressful. How
do we deal with that stress, Felicity? Can we do something before we go into a stressful situation to prepare our prepare our mind to say, I'm aware that I'm going to go into something stressful now, but I'm going to be ready for it?
Absolutely. To pray is the only thing, and that's what I was doing all the way through Gatwick Airport yesterday. And then I managed to get on the plane with just a few minutes to spare, so it was great. And we just need to rely on the Lord to get us through, and angels who we meet. I met a few angels on the way who helped me. So, yeah, God is always there. You know, my dear friend Graham took me to the airport in Jersey. Graham and Loveday, my 2 great friends in Jersey. And, you know, we have angels on the way to help us, so thank you. It's great.
Now, something interesting from the clip that we just played there with your interview with Veronique is that she mentioned how Granny Smith apples as well can help with breast cancer. How can that?
Well, isn't that interesting? I got well, as you know, on the apples and the carrot juice. And the apple actually has a matrix of all these different constituents in it. And in a petri dish, which is what they do experiments in, it actually kills the cancer cells. So, and how easy to live on some apple juice for a few weeks. And, you know, I do believe in doing a mono diet sometimes. When you're really toxic, you just have apple juice for a day, or you have watermelon juice, or you have carrot juice. A mono diet is really lovely when you are facing a serious health issue. So, you know, to be radical, if you're radically ill, you need to be radical to get well. And if people are just playing with it, if they're just perhaps losing weight, or they're just getting rid of a headache or something like that, you can afford to have a little bit of the other foods as well, the cooked foods. You know, you can go into it gently.
But as long as you're making the effort and you want to make the change. Now, some of the people might ask, okay, week 1 or day 1, fantastic, I'm sticking to the plan, I'm motivated. What happens after day 2, day 3, week 1, week 2, week 3? How can they maintain their motivation?
Well, as you get this surge of energy and you begin to feel better and you lose excess weight, you know that it's working, and then it's quite easy to stick with it. But obviously people need a little bit of cooked food as well, so I always say, you know, have the cooked brown rice with garlic and onions, have the beautiful, beautiful things like sweet potato, squash, carrots. You can mash them, you can cook them, and so make that your sort of staple. And gradually the body always responds. It's amazing how the body responds. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've talked about toxicity in the previous clip that we've just played. Now let's talk about how cancer is a symptom of toxicity. Let's take a look at this.
A cancer in a breast, I'm saying that's metaphorical. It's analogous to a cancer being like a dump. The body's saying something's wrong here. So I'm going to put everything in Farmer Jones's back 40 in the left breast, and there's a cancer. It's never the problem. It's always a symptom of other diseases or imbalances. And so if you just lop off the breast and say, Mrs. Jones, you're cancer-free, you're ignoring the fact that unless you change your behavior, the cancer will manifest somewhere else.
So unless you change your behavior, the cancer is going to come back and manifest. That's exactly the opposite of what we typically hear. We hear, okay, you have this disease, here's this drug and this drug and this drug. But let me ask you a question. When you take all these drugs together, have they ever been tested for safety? Let's listen to Casey Krejci.
Jeffrey Bland gave a talk this weekend, and he's the founder of functional medicine. I mean, the guy's brilliant. And he was saying that he has always been blasted about, oh, your stuff's not double-blind, placebo-controlled, and you know, I only practice scientific medicine. And he finally says, he got to the point where he says to the doctor, let me ask you this question. You'll be honest with me, right? We'll agree that I'm a little bit on the outskirts of what you're talking about as scientific medicine. But let me ask you this question. Have you ever prescribed a patient a drug who was already on 4 other drugs? Oh, of course. And could you point me to a study that showed that a patient population on those 5 drugs? And well, I had to study for this drug and this. No, that's not what I said. Could you show me a patient population that has been studied on those 5 drugs? And the answer is, of course not. In fact, I was told by Dr. Scott Hainan that about a study he's sending me here recently that there's a study out that says that if you're on 5 or more medications, it is impossible to predict the clinical response of the 5 drugs. Okay, so that's why it's all a guessing game. They will give a drug for this and a drug for that, and then you end up giving drugs for the symptoms caused by drugs, and it's an awful spiral. Now, there's a place for some drugs sometime, but I generally think of them as a Band-Aid to get people over a hump before they can figure out how to get their body responding like it's supposed to.
Hi there, viewers, and welcome back. Now, it's interesting there, Felicity, is we sometimes need to listen to our bodies, don't we? Because our bodies can give us a sign and say, hang on a second, something's not quite right here.
Absolutely right. And Ty Bollinger is such a wonderful guy. You know, he's the big Texan guy who was introducing that. And he's done something called the Quest for the Cure to Cancer, which has gone viral and is going to alter the way cancer is treated in America. It's really exciting. And he's coming to London in May, and I'm actually interviewing him at the Revelation Studios in London. And then he's interviewing me as well. He's bringing his film crew over from America and doing testimonies of people in England who've also been healed. So it's good because this is a bit of a breakthrough. You know, there's a lot of these testimonies in America, not so many over here in UK. Yeah. So really exciting. I'm looking forward to that enormously. Testimonies are something that is so important, so vital. When people listen to a story, they can really relate and say, I've been through that myself. I'm going through that right now. Especially when there's a nice ending to the story and they say, I've been through it, but I've overcome everything. And you've got a very nice testimony yourself, haven't you? Well, that's the thing. It's the people who've got well, like Dr. Veronique and myself. Ty saw all his family die of cancer. You know, I saw my daughter, my husband die of cancer. So, of course, I'm highly motivated to spread the word. So, yeah, the testimonies are absolutely great. And Chris Walk as well has put my testimony on in America. And I have also put Chris Walk's testimony on here. So the word is certainly spreading, and it's really exciting. Just explain to our viewers, how can cancer be overcome? How can we overcome cancer with the right nutrition, having the right juices? How did you overcome your cancer? Well, you see, cancer is a wily enemy, as Dr. Contreras says. You know, he's the director of the Oasis of Hope hospital in Mexico. And it's not something that you can think you can treat lightly. You've got to really, really fight it and become a cancer victor instead of a victim, because so many people do die of cancer. So it's not something to take lightly. And what they talk about is the detox. They talk about the elimination of the cancer, which is systemic in the body. It's not just if it's in the breast or if it's in the big toe and you can cut this off and the thing is gone. It doesn't work that way. It's systemic in the body. It's in the blood. It's circulating to different organs. So you have to really detox. And then, of course, you've got to restore the living enzymes into the body. So going to see Oasis was wonderful a few weeks ago, and also Dr. Patrick Vickers at the Gerson, where they are getting people well. But people have to be radical in order to heal.
And what is your opinion on the drugs that's currently available out there for cancer patients?
Well, you see, with insulin potentiated chemotherapy, they can give about 10% of what is normally given, but it's actually targeted onto the area that needs to be targeted. So there are ways of doing things, and so some chemos is necessary sometimes, and radiation can be helpful sometimes as well. But of course they are very damaging. I wouldn't submit myself to either of those unless, as Dr. Francisco Contreras says, it's in the entrance or exit to the body, you have to shrink a tumor quickly in order for the immune system to rebuild itself, and then the immune system will get rid of the cancer. But if it's a life and death situation, you've got to act quickly, then they use a little chemo and radiation, which do shrink a tumor. But unless people change the lifestyle,
exactly,
the wretched thing will come back on you. So that's what happened with my poor daughter.
Yeah.
So really interesting. This is integrated health. It's the best of good surgery, good chemo, good radiation, good nutrition.
It's a whole, when you say lifestyle, it's like a package, isn't it, really, Felicity?
It's a whole thing.
It's looking after yourself. It's important to eliminate the wrong foods. It's important to introduce the correct and right foods, like the greens, the fruits, the vegetables, and then maybe also a little bit of exercise. How important is that?
That exercise is really important as well, and what we think is important, because whatever your thoughts are, you're making that body chemistry. So it's either good or it's bad. And so one of the lovely things I do is teach people about the ethical will, which is a Judaic heritage practice where you think what you want to pass on to the next generation. I've got another lovely thing where people write down the 50 best memories they have in their life. And so I started writing them out, and I've got to 200 and something at the moment.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I've been here a long time, you know.
That's brilliant, yeah.
So I was just saying to someone who's
interesting.
very depressed this morning, a young chap who wrote to me, very depressed, from Australia, actually.
Yeah.
Amazing how far we reach.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, start thinking you may want to commit suicide at 18, and now he's young.
Yeah.
But, you know, at 18, I felt the same. I felt completely, you know, confused about life. And then suddenly, as you get older, you find the Lord, and you do have some wonderful moments in your life. So hang in there, you know, don't do something stupid.
What a fantastic suggestion you've just made to
when
some
you're
of our
a teenager.
viewers. Yeah, I'd love to encourage some of our viewers, if you're feeling a little bit down or depressed, just think of the good times that you had in your lives. And funny enough, not just think about it, write it down, because sometimes when we write things down, then we really take it in. And it's all about, you've gone through positive times in your lives, and what can you then do to bring those positive times back into your life? That's so important, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. So guess where I put it all now? I put it on the wonderful mobile phone as well. So like on the plane yesterday, you know, when it's really stressful.
Yeah.
And there's all these people milling about and standing in the aisle and you can't breathe. I'm just looking at my 250 wonderful moments of my life and reliving them. And then suddenly, you know, the plane's landing and it's over. So there we go.
There you go. You're putting yourself in your own happy place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. How important is it for us to spring clean our body, Felicity?
Oh, really important. And I've been spring cleaning back in Jersey. Now I'm spring cleaning back here in Spain. Yeah, there's something lovely about the new, you know, the new plants coming out, and life is just, when the blue skies come back again, it's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a look at this next VT that we have available. This is talking about spring cleaning your body. Let's take a look at this.
Hey you guys, it's Christina, and today I'm going to share with you my top 3 ways to spring clean your body. Winter is over, and it's time to shed off those extra layers. Many people are always spring cleaning their homes or their closets or their kitchens during this time of the year. But why not clean out the most important home that you live in? Your body. If you don't take care of your body, where will you live? There are many different ways to cleanse. This includes mentally, spiritually, and physically. Today, I'm going to share with you the best, fully raw ways to detox physically, and then I'll share some extra tips on how you can also cleanse mentally and spiritually as well. The body and the mind are connected. For us to become our healthiest, highest selves, we must work on all of these beautiful essences of our beings. So let's jump in. Are you ready for some spring cleaning? I know I am. Number 1. My first option is to mono meal for 3 days straight. Well, what is a mono meal? A mono meal is where you pick one item, preferably your favorite fruit of choice, and you eat that one fruit for an entire meal. I'm asking you to not only have this one fruit for one full meal, but for 3 full days. So that's technically at least 9 meals of this one fruit. I recommend bananas, watermelon, grapes, mango, papaya, peaches, or any other non-citrus tropical fruit. These high-calorie fruits will keep you satisfied, energetic, and clean. And keep in mind that a mono meal of one of these would look like 8 to 9 bananas, 5 to 6 mangoes, or even a half of a watermelon. Eating mono meals are beneficial for 3 reasons. Number 1, they are better for digestion. Eating one thing is way easier for your body to process than eating 20 different ingredients at a time. Secondly, it assists you with elimination. These high-fiber fruits will clean you out in a good way. When your digestion is better, so is your elimination, and health begins in the colon. Get clean and stop carrying around all of that gunk in your trunk. Third, eating mono meals is how we would eat if we were in nature. If you've ever been to a farm or picked fruit off of a tree, then you know you usually find 1 to 2 fruits at a time, and not necessarily a grocery store variety right in front of you. If you find a fruit tree and you're hungry, you usually sit and pick and eat off of this tree until you're completely satisfied. Mono meals will help you clean out your system. Eating fruit for a meal will improve your digestion and your elimination, and perhaps will help you to drop a few pounds while still getting in the necessary fibers that you need to function. Enjoy!
Hey viewers, welcome back. It's funny how your body and your mind are both connected, isn't it? So
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's, I've got this lecture on cells, how important it is, what we eat, breathe, think, drink. All these things are the cells are interconnected. So as soon as you have a fruit drink or a vegetable juice, that is affecting right the way through the body. Hopefully alkalizing, because we're very acid from the stress. You know, we build up acidity as the day goes on. So I start the day with a colonic, finish the day with a colonic, do my sauna as well, the far infrared sauna. Amazing. All these things are so good, but it's taken a lifetime to learn this stuff. Yeah,
but the point as well is, Felicity, is when we're always promoting juicing, we're saying we need to be juicing, we need to be juicing. It's not only for our physical state, but it's also for our mental as well, because when you have a juice, it revives you, it lifts you up, and you really become alert as well, don't you?
Definitely. You see, you're getting a tremendous amount of nutrition just in a glass. Whereas we haven't got time to go and have a meal. We haven't had time for lunch today. You know, you and I, we work right the way through. So I really live on the juices now. I just find it so much easier. And for the girls who don't want to cook, or the chaps who don't want to cook, what bliss just to have your juicer. And then when you're hungry, you have some baked potato, you know, maybe a jacket, some brown rice, something simple.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I think of the complicated meals I used to cook for the family, who would wolf it down in 2 minutes and not really appreciate it. You'd spend hours preparing something. Now I just juice, and there we are. It's there in a glass for you.
I'd like to go back to, like we were talking before, about how mentally we need to be. And such a fantastic suggestion you made is just write down the best moments of your life. Now, what would happen in a situation if someone is young and they feel they haven't had too many positive moments in their life? Perhaps they could write down what they would like to achieve, their goals of where they would like to be.
Exactly. And when you write that out and when you pray about it, it's like an affirmation, you know, when you say, I'm getting better every day, which is an old thing that people used to say. My mother used to say that to me years ago. Every day I'm getting better and better. And this was apparently a famous saying back in the 20s or 30s, I suppose. But when you speak out that I'm doing well, that I'm feeling good, I'm feeling better than I did yesterday, you do something that affirms it right through the body. It's like the Word of God. When you speak out the Word of God, it has tremendous strength, tremendous power. And
just like you were saying that you wrote down the positive moments, what if they had a small notepad of their favorite scriptures as well?
That's a really good idea, absolutely. I mean, I have the Life Application Bible, which transformed my life, because I was brought up on the old King James Bible, obviously, which sometimes is very difficult to understand. And then when I found the New International Version, which is the Life Application Bible, which has all these notes in, it was like doing a degree in theology, actually. And of course, I did do my theology training, but very often I would go back to my Life Application Bible and look at the notes there and just learn so much. Amazing. And it's such a joy, you know, when you come home, like last night, I was tired off the plane, had my Bible on my bed and just start reading the Psalms, and you're completely back in equanimity.
Now, we talked about juicing, we talked about looking after ourselves with our foods and nutrition, mentally, and what about physically now? We're talking about exercise. How important is that?
It is vital, and you get enough exercise walking through those airports, believe me.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to get to on a short connection from one to the next one.
Yeah.
So, but exercise, preferably in the fresh air, preferably on the beach here somewhere, or in the trees, you know, in beautiful forests. In Jersey, we have some beautiful forests, and I go for a walk in there, and you can just breathe lungfuls of this wonderful air. And as I say, the blossom's out at the moment as well. And this year, you know, I haven't got any hay fever because I've been very good with the detox.
Excellent.
And I used to get the most awful hay fever.
Yeah, me
and
too.
people do, they smell the blossom. But you see, when you've taken the gunk out of the trunk, as they say, and I think she's great, Christina, when you haven't got the bacteria in your body, you'll find you don't get the hay fever anymore.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Now, we want to encourage you guys to do some nice exercise as well, and it's about getting out. There's lovely weather at the moment, so why not get out into the fresh air and take the kids with you as well. So this is exercising with the parents, the grandparents, and also the kids. Let's take a look at this.
Hi everyone, it's Shanna from Go Meals Go. Today we are shooting a little exercise video for kids. So we're starting with a simple march, and we're just going to move from one thing to the next. So follow us. When you're bored or it's a rainy day, put this on, repeat it if you want to. Let's go to the next thing. We're going to kick and pull, kick and pull, kick and pull. So parents, if you need to let your kids get a little let out, play this video for them. You can do it over and over. Get them out of your hair for a little bit. Let's do side shuffles, guys. And back. And back. And back. And back. Couple more. And then we're going to do Hunter and Willie's favorite. Grapevine. Go, 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 go. And back. And back again. Keep going. We're probably out of the video, but that's okay, because you know what we're doing anyway. This is highly professional, eh? But hey, if it helps kids get a little steam out, that's what we want. Next thing, push up, hit the ground. On the floor. Come on. You can put your knees on the ground if you need to. Okay. Whoa, good job, Sam. Sam. Couple more. Keep those butts down. Okay, let's come up. Let's come up. We're going to do the ice skater. Just like you're speed skating. Back and forth. Back and forth. Awesome. If you don't have perfect form, that's okay, as long as you're having fun. That's the most important thing. Back it up, Paige. Okay, next thing, jumping jack.
It's hot out here to do this.
Oh, it's a hot, beautiful day.
To do exercises.
It is a little bit hot, but that's okay. It is gorgeous, which is why we're outside. Keep going, Sam. Keep going. High knees to the front. Take a little bit of a breather.
Hi viewers, welcome back. That's just a little taster there, and it's funny, it's all out to sea, but that's the reality. We want to take our children, our grandchildren out there, and they're all going to be all over the place there. It's brilliant. But it's fantastic to just motivate them, get them out into the fresh air, and just to get them involved, get them moving. So important.
Absolutely right. And you know, if you go out on the beach or out at Durrell, the beautiful Durrell Wildlife Centre, where I had my children this weekend, it was really great.
Yeah, as we can see coming on screen now, some of the kids there, they're all a little bit out of sync. But do you know what? They're moving. They're getting the circulation in the body now. They're trying to do some press ups together. And if you can't do press ups, you can simply just do it on your knees and just lift up through your arms and your elbows. But the point is, they're motivated. It's something fun for them to get involved. They're running on the spot and they're just enjoying it. They're having fun and they're staying fit.
That's right. And Granny's really doing it there. I think it's great. She is not tired. She's looking at her watch now and she's thinking it's nearly over.
She's also trying to talk to the camera at the same time and not sound exhausted. But it's good. Very good.
Yeah, it's
very
good fun,
good.
isn't it?
Excellent.
So let's hope that the viewers will get out in the nice new spring weather with their grandchildren and do likewise.
What do we do in the winter time, Felicity, when the weather's not so good? How can we exercise?
Well, I think the thing is you've got to get out in the fresh air. So we've just got to wrap up warm and go out and get some exercise, because you can't beat getting out in the fresh air. So much more important than staying indoors. Just
go through some of the simple exercises that some of our viewers can get involved with from home.
Well, to start with, you know, as I always say, the rebounder is a really good thing, or just walking.
What is the rebounder?
The rebounder is a little mini trampoline, and it's a wonderful way to take exercise. So if people can just get out of bed, if they're bed-bound, you know, just bounce a little bit, just get themselves going, move the circulation, move the lymph, and the body will respond. So it's really important to get some exercise. And of course, if you can rebound with the windows open, then at least you're getting the fresh air coming in. Because, you know, our houses are so contaminated with the carpets, the curtains, the paint on the walls. Everything is chemical. And so when we're inside, we're getting a lot of chemical toxicity. Yeah.
Excellent, because it's something that we don't realise. We're stuck in our busy lives, Felicity, and we're running around and we're just trying to keep things going. And sometimes we don't care. We don't look after our own health, do we? We can take that sometimes for granted, or we're we're busy with work. We're trying to find time with our family. Sometimes we just really need to have time for ourselves and think, am I looking after myself?
Absolutely right. Because if you don't look after you, who's going to look after the rest of the family? So it's really important, as they say on the airplane, you know, you put your own oxygen mask on first, then you can help other people. And I think it's absolutely relevant with our health that we should really take time for some meditation, for time with God every day, for some exercise, have a balanced lifestyle. Very important. Okay.
Well, we always try to show something on our programs, Felicity, with a little bit of a recipe. We like to introduce something of how to make a nice, healthy, delicious recipe. So we're just going to go to our next VT now. This is how to make hummus. Let's take a look at this.
Today we're showing you how to make extra smooth hummus.
It's really easy. You're going to start with tahini, which is a creamy sesame paste. Just give it a stir and measure out about 1/4 cup. Then add it to a food processor or blender. Next, you'll need some lemon juice. We like to use about 1/4 cup, but you could use a little less or a little more depending on your taste. Add the lemon juice to the tahini, but use a strainer to make sure no seeds get through. Now process for about 1 minute. The tahini and lemon juice cream together and become thick, whipped, and creamy. That's the secret to creamy hummus. All right, now for some flavor. We like to use about half a clove of garlic, but we peel and mince it really fine first. That way, we help out the processor and no one is ever going to bite into a big piece of garlic. Next, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about half of a teaspoon of ground cumin, and some salt. Start with half a teaspoon and then taste later and add as you need it. Just scrape the bottom of the bowl and process again. After about a minute, open up the lid, scrape again, and continue to process. This all helps to make extra smooth, creamy hummus. Now for the chickpeas. We use 1 can, but we drain and rinse it first. Add about half of the chickpeas to the food processor and process for another minute. Scrape, then add the remaining chickpeas. Now process for 1 to 2 minutes until extra smooth. Go ahead and scrape the bowl again. And now to make things really, really smooth, and just like the hummus you buy at the store, we like to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of water. This just thins it out a little bit. You can add as much or as little as you want. As you add the water, you can literally see it gets smoother and smoother. So good. Okay, you're done. Give it a test. Add it to a plate, and then top with olive oil or paprika, and enjoy.
Viewers, and welcome back. We just like to inspire people as well, and just to show them how to create a simple recipe. What is your favourite recipe to make?
Well, I love that hummus, and I love the guacamole. I like all the natural things, really. And so I like soups, beautiful soups that I make at home.
What is your favourite soup, Felicity?
I love broccoli, with my good old broccoli, which you can do with some onion, some garlic. And you can always make a soup creamy by blending in some cashew nuts, you know.
Oh, fantastic.
That is very good.
Tip of the
I
day.
like it creamy, but without the dairy cream.
Yeah.
Because as we know, the dairy is so bad for us. The cow's milk is bad for us, but we can have rice milk, we can have soy milk. But to thicken in a recipe like that, the cashew nut is absolutely wonderful. So good idea to blend.
And you love to make your curries, don't you? Vegetable curries.
Love the curries, yes, absolutely great. Probably do a curry tonight, I think, with some mango chutney to make it interesting.
Wonderful, yeah. Felicity. Now, something I want to talk about is the pharma companies, the pharmaceutical companies, and how they can sometimes dominate the whole industry of all about the money. And sometimes there's no humanitarian thing there. It seems to me that they're maybe not as concerned to looking after or the patient, but rather than making all the money.
Well, we have to understand they are in business to make a profit. They're actually working for their shareholders. They're not working for the good of the general public and our health. And I think most people are under a great illusion that there's someone watching out for our health. In fact, the governments are bound, they are actually, they abide by what the food makers are actually telling them, and they regulate themselves, the food companies. We think, oh, someone has approved this. In fact, it's the food companies who are regulating themselves. Extraordinary.
Now, what does someone do when they're on, obviously they're going through a certain number of illnesses, and quite a few of our viewers might say, I've got so many different problems with my body, and I'm on so many different pieces of amounts of medication and prescription drugs. What do they do in that situation?
Well, I think education's the thing, and you go on the internet, you have a look at the tried and trusted guys who, like Dr. Brian Clement, Dr. Francisco Contreras, the guys who are actually getting people well The thing is, you've got to do some research, find out who is actually getting well and how they're doing it. So like Dr. Veronique, who got herself well, she's the sort of person that I would listen to, because if someone's overcome themselves, then they've got the right recipe. But if they're just handing out a lot of drugs, then that's not going to work with me.
Yeah, and that's where we also look into it and say, okay, if we're not going through a particular a moment, we don't have cancer right now, we don't have a particular illness, why don't we look after our body and why don't we prevent it? Because prevention is key. Absolutely, prevention is so much easier than cure as well. You know, so much easier to address it. That's why I'm so thrilled when I have young people on the course. I had 2 young girls in Jersey last week who are fit. They just wanted to be fitter, and they don't want to go through the problems that their parents have had. In fact, one of them has a father who'd been really ill with diabetes, and he has got well, and so the daughter has come on the course herself so that she doesn't follow the same track that the parents went down and get diabetes. So it's lovely when young people come and want to learn. It's an eye-opener as well when someone's gone through a certain situation within their family. And was it Ty Bollinger, you said, that his whole family were... Well, both his parents, his grandparents, and his wife's parents had all died of cancer. And I mean, he was a young, successful chartered accountant and just thought, well, what's more important than making money is actually discovering how I'm going to save myself and my wife and the children from going the same route, because they were on the standard American diet. And so he's really gone fearlessly right into it and comes out and says exactly what the truth is. Very political, but my word, the world needs shaking up, because the healthiest people are actually people who are living in mountainous regions where they're not eating the SAD diet, the standard American diet or standard Anglican diet, as I say, where people are actually eating the nuts, the fruits, the seeds, the green plant, especially the vegetables, and then they don't get these diseases. We've shown in the past a clip of someone who was involved in the pharmaceutical company, and they no longer are there involved, but they know how the industry works. And because of a certain situation or circumstance in their own life where they've suffered or their family members suffered from cancer, they've decided this isn't how things should be. And sometimes when someone has gone through a personal experience in their life, they have that kind of passion. They have that kind of determination to say, I want to make a change. I need to make a change. And that's something that you've done with your life, isn't it? Absolutely. Because you've obviously lost your daughter, you've lost your husband. And that's why you're doing your programs on Revelation TV, and you've got such, you're so determined to just get the word out there and just share that with as many people around the world. That's absolutely right, and I think that the people who are getting well are now becoming so vocal and coming out with it, and so it's really interesting to see how people do get well and stay well, and I'm absolutely convinced that what I'm teaching is right, and that's why I go back every year to America to the conference, so that I get all the very latest information, which I can then pass on to people who come on my courses. So really interesting. Have you had any inspirational stories in the last week, or anything that particular person has quite touched your heart and you said, do you know something, this is why I do it? Well, there were 3 ladies on my course this time in Jersey who had had breast cancer. They have all got well. Some have fought a tremendous battle and been bullied quite a lot to go the orthodox route, but it's amazing how they're all getting well, and it really was great. And of course the young women who were on the course as well, they were very interested to hear the story of these 3 women. Excellent, Felicity. Sadly, we have come towards the end of today's programme. As always, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you also to our viewers. I do hope it's been inspirational for you today. Do remember that we have a catch-up service on our website. It's on revelationtv.com, where you can watch the entire programme all over again. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/RevelationTV. We're on Twitter. We're also on YouTube. So viewers, I do hope we've been inspiring for you today. Stay positive, and as always, keep smiling. Take care and God bless. Bye.